Our vision is to provide quality higher education integrated with research and scholarly activities in the emerging areas and in various blooming fields of mechanical engineering, thus serving to the needs of the society. I am Danesh, HOD, Mechanical Engineering, SA Engineering College. Mechanical department established in the year 1998 in our college. It was affiliated to Anna University in the year 2001 and got permanent affiliation in the year 2013. Our department has been accredited by National Board of Accreditation from the year 2009. As of 2020, 19 batches have been graduated. Labs like Manufacturing Technology Lab 1, and Special Machines as Manufacturing Technology Lab 2. IC Engines Lab. So IC Engines Lab, they are doing some experiments like performance tests, retardation tests. Heat Transfer Lab. In Heat Transfer Lab, they are conducting some experiments like modes of heat transfer like conduction, convection and radiation. CAD-CAM Lab, they are doing some modeling practices as well as the ANSYS. In Dynamics Lab, they are doing some experiments related to the motion. Material Testing Lab, students are doing some material testing, that means finding out the mechanical properties of the materials. Mechatronics Lab, they are doing some experiments in hydraulics and pneumatics. We are very keen in giving practical hands-on exposure to students about the concepts they are learning. For this, we have various labs which are fully functional with all facilities. Parallel hybrid electric race car, solar powered vehicle, and participate in Asia's biggest electrical solar vehicle championship conducted by ISIE every year. Microfin tube heat exchanger using nanofluids, development of eco-friendly high-strength friction stir welding, IoT controlled smart wheelchair. It's my pleasure to welcome all engineering aspirants and wish you to fulfill your engineering dreams.
Good evening to one and all who are present here. About our college. SA Engineering College, an autonomous institution, was established by the Ramanaidu Educational and Charitable Trust in the year 1998 to 99. With overall experience of 22 years now, SA Engineering College is approved by AICTE and affiliate to Anna University, Chennai. Our college is well equipped with a state of art, world class laboratories, central library, department libraries, workshops, and research labs. We are certified with NAAC and National Board of Accreditation MBA. Our college offers 10 UG programs and 6 PG programs. SA Engineering College maintain high standard of education by providing a wide array of world-class academic facilities, employing highly qualified and experienced faculty members and creating an ambience of conducting high quality education. On behalf of our college management, I would like to welcome Charitra V, who is expertise in gesture control robot. Now I hand over the session to her.
Ma'am, screen not visible, ma'am.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. I hope I'm audible. So observe the three letters that comes over your screen, the gesture control robot. And the most attractive word that I would believe you would be thinking about would be robot. The first visualization that you would have hearing about the word robot would be this. Okay, the cartoon image of this humanoid robot, the very first thing that we ever look forward that our imagination how a robot would look like would be this, like functioning around, having making emoji faces and walking around. The second visualization, I would say it's not visualization, it's exaggeration. So would be this movie made your a fantasization about robots and how it is functioning, how it's moving, the extent of exposure over in this movie about robotics was really vast. What and all would you have been observed in this movie that a robot would be functioning over a battery, it need to be charged frequently, it has a chip inside it which changes its characteristics over time, and it has many functions, many senses, it has superpowers, magnetic power which would attract metals, it has enormous number of senses. And have you ever wondered that is it true or not? Does these robots really exist or not? How far we will able to create in our real life? Someone would have made it for a reason. For creating a robot there must be some kind of purpose that that made you bring this creation over this world. There would be a reason, a purpose that has to be accomplished. Without any reason you can't create a enormous creation like this. It maybe it would be like imitating a human feature or creating a creation that would sense enormous sensors, technologies, features that would roam around the eyes, the hands. Without exactly knowing what we want to do, we can't able to create such a creation, right? So the reason behind the robotics I will tell you in further slides. Before that, if you even have still have the doubt whether it exists or not, I think this image would give you a clear clarity that it exists. If you already came across this image, you would know that this is a humanoid robot and her name is Sophia. Her hands, her face, her legs, it resembles like a human. Why would someone create such a creation when we have human around it? Is it to just to have an interesting factor, or it has a really strong purpose around? I will tell you, I will make sure that the concept about robot imagination about robots after this presentation would really change, because there are a large number of factors that has been affected and been impressively changed after this creation. Here you would see she is over a sari. Okay, so that means she also belongs to India. And if you have already seen her interviews, her videos, may be fantasize about how a robot have this much extent of intelligence to adapt to different creations, different language, different culture. Is it necessary for robots to understand all these things? I will make you clear in the next slide. And here you see robot with a sari, so it's like definitely it's being to India. Like what would be the purpose? Just to make a social skill development, or to create a technology that has a vast impact or a eye on it. Sometimes we edit videos, we create videos and put on social media just to make people look forward to us, to look that how unique these structures are. Maybe robots may be one of those, or it may have a strong impact or reason to be made. So let me tell you the story behind this robot that I have so far shown to you. Her name is Sophia, and Sophia is a social humanoid robot developed by Hong Kong based company called Hansen Robotics. You know, when we talk about robot, the first thing that comes out to mind is the humanoid, because that's most similar to a human. But apart from that, there is a lot of creation. That's the reason I have mentioned the companies that creates the robot. Just observe the companies. Neuro company. This company make a robot. It's currently working on a project that resembles a car. Now you wonder whether car is also a robot or not. or it's like a moving observation, or if car resembles a robot, then what is the difference between it? How would you categorize any mechanical system and a robot or a machine accordingly? If you think robots is limited only to humanoid, let me tell you, observe these companies. They are left hand robotics, right hand robotics, drone, rethink robotics. Now these companies had been specified to each and every part. Like for example, if you take a car, you know for some cars they manufacture the whole parts and the whole requirement as such. But for some parts, we hire products from different companies because there are so much specification in those products. So likewise, here we have robots with different companies. I will advise you to take a screenshot and look after this all these companies after. It's really interesting that how this robotics had been taken to a next page. Because now look at the word drone. It's also known as quadcopter. When we think about drone, we also wonder like, is it a flying camera? It is an aeroplane? And we have seen some movies where these things were projected as a really fantasizing thing. Will these drones will be also considered as robots? Then if these are robots, then why humanoids are called robots? So I will tell you the difference between why they are being specifically made as drone and robotics. Then now you also see applied aeronautics, burst in dynamics, vicarcious, and everything over here, like they are being specified very differently. As I said, in neuro they are similar to car, in canvas. And you should also think like whether these companies were making robots from the beginning. It's not true, because as the revolution comes, as the demand comes, they change to robotics. So there must be some history and there must be some adaptation that had been made to look forward towards a robotics. So again, I will come back to this slide if we time permits. Let's move forward. Okay. Now Sophia was activated on February 14th, 2016, and was made her first public appearance by Southwest Festive in United States. Now let me tell you, just observe that it was made in Hong Kong, and then it was launched in United States, and it was made in 14th February. I think this Sophia story is really easy to remember because the date 14th February, you can like it's the Valentine Day. Okay, so you can just project it as it's your love for robotics. So it's really easy to remember when Sophia was made. And Sophia, as I already said, we have, I personally look forward to robotics after seeing the videos of Sophia. So Sophia has covered a social media, and it went so viral 5 to 6 years back, and it was really interesting to watch. In October 2017, Sophia became a South Arabian citizen. Now, just think, to become a citizen, you have to be 18 years old and above, and then 5 years of experience, then 3 years of working over there. So these and all process there. And to the interesting fact, Sophia was not even 1 year old when she got citizenship. So that's how the difference and the impact was made by the technology, that it was able to adopt the human space so fast that the thing that we take for years together, she does in a single moment. Okay. And then Sophia was named the United Nations Development Programs for the first and even innovation champion, and is the first non-human to be given any United Nations title. See, she's first in everything, and that's why I have special eye on this. And let me tell you that Sophia was not the only robot that we have so far. It was 5 to 6 years back. So after that, there were large number of robots, dynamic evolution in robotics. In spite of the artificial intelligence, the adaptability to learn by themselves has developed so far that if you search in internet, you will also find robots with Sanskrit name with Indian adaptability. There is a wide range. So I took this because it was the first and the revolutionary one for me personally triggering. So I took forward for Sophia to explain. But apart from that, there are a lot many, and you have to look forward for it. See, till now I was telling that Sophia was made as a socialite. It was made to learn the public adaptability. But let's know the actual reason, the purpose that it was made. The reason I have shown you the Endran movie photo and the neck Vasigan making the robot is that uh, you should know the purpose, and the here purpose that we imagined was different, but the actual purpose was different. Look at the second point first, that he has said that he hoped that the robotics can ultimately interact with the other humans sufficiently to gain social skills. I thought that was the actual reason, but the reason was Sophia to be suitably companion for the elderly at the nursing home. Firstly, I had no idea about nursing home because the way it was projected through social media was really different. So, the adaptability was, it was also able to gain the social skills, but the main reason was for the nursing homes. So the intention was really unique than we actually expected. Now you can also remember this like Hansen robotics made invented by David Hansen. I don't think you will be able to forget this Hansen name because it is a revolutionary thing. I always remember that. Now I told you our own perspective about robotics. I told you what would be the real reason about behind it and how humanoid are made, and what are our companies over that, and also what are the vast varieties that already been made by different companies. Now let's know the actual robots apart from Sophia and all, actual purpose of making robotics. Now here it says robotics design, construction, and use of machine and robots. Here is a confusion over here. There is machine and robotics. Now, what would be the difference between both? I will tell about that later. And the perform tasks done traditionally by human beings. Basically, we are partially right about copying human beings. We are just making another creation that is able to be similar to us, but also with a better adaptability, better features, the things that we are not able to do, the place that we are not able to reach out. We will reach out through these technologies that we are adopting. As robotics are widely used in such industries as automobile manufacture to perform simple repetitive tasks, and in industries where work must be performed in environments hazardous to human. You know, when human reach new extent, reach new task performance, the risk over that keep on increasing. And we have to make sure that we develop, but it has to be sustainable. It should not be harming the human existence itself, as happened in that movie Endiran. Like the creation was so dynamic, but once the purpose was changed, once the negative thought came around, it disturbed the existence of human itself. But the purpose was to protect human at a very first place. So the reason here we could relate. The very first reason I brought movies into this subject was to able to relate to the things around you. So robot was widely used in industries, and it's also beyond the humanoid. So it is inside, it's in and around the world around you. So now I will tell about the industries. Now, as I already said, I will talk about the difference between machine and robotics. Before I tell the definition, look at this picture. Now, if you know, I have seen this movie in Hindi, and if you have seen in Tamil, I have both slides around, and here is where the definition of machine was like so interesting. That was a very funny scene, and for every engineer it was like so relatable to able to communicate in a easy language. Where Rancho says a machine is everything that reduces human effort. And is robot the same thing? Machine can precisely repeat predetermined motions, but robots can do that too, but they can do even more. So actually there is no difference, but robot is might be an advanced version of machines. Like machine was the very predetermined term about reducing human efforts, but we are came across the eras, came across the developments, so there is no such difference. Like people really used to ask whether there is a difference in that. A robot can precisely repeat the task, return in an instruction while making smoothly like a human arm. So there is no such difference. So machine would look like a machine, but robots can also resemble a human creation. So it's like a more perfection, more perspective over that. Machine and robots are used in many places inside our factories. So actually, there is no such huge difference. It's just robots is more dynamic. Okay, moving forward. Then what is a robot? Now, as we have come so far, we have been like we are able to observe what a robot is. I told how different and how connectability, the humanoid, what is difference from industries. Now I think you should have the clear idea what robot could dynamically mean, especially one programmable by a computer capable of carrying out a complex series of action automatically. Now you remember this term automatically. That's really easy to able to relate. A robot can be guided by an external control device, or the control may be embedded within. So there are many types in that, varieties in that. It could be externally guided, or it can be embedded. So it's a huge subject beyond what we see. Now, as I already shown the very first slide about gesture control robot, I gave you almost a really nice idea about the robotics. Now, let me tell you the gesture. You heard this word in your mobile phone, a very handy device. You would already have been experienced. Like if you double tap your screen, it will open. If you make a key, it may on the flashlight. That's the explanation of gesture that would be anything that you could do with a simple direction. As we have a speed dial in your mobile phone, the purpose of making a speed dial is to reduce the effort and look simplify the purpose. We don't have to open the phone, we don't have to dial the number, search for number, specify it, and then make a ring. We just save that in a particular number, and we will click that number, and the number will directly contact whomever we have saved in that speed line. So gesture is as similar to that. It simplifies your effort for the action, for the output to be given. So there is something some purposeful, some output that you need. So the input that you give for that is being simplified. So that's how I would explain gesture would be. Now here you can see like there is a double tap symbol. uh, open your two fingers wide, that would give one feature. Long press would give one feature, swiping. And here we also have light. If you block the upper part of our mobile phone, the light will automatically off. So like it's really easy to relate what a gesture is. So I think you would no doubt about what a gesture means. It's just simply an indication that would simplify the input. Like understanding that you will have between you and your device. Now let's start moving about how a gesture would be connected to a robotics. Now here a gesture control device recognize and interpret human body movements, allowing the users to interact with a computing system. So to make a better understanding, let me give more example, more upcoming technologies that would be really interesting to look forward. Now here we have a wearable peripheral controller. What this does is we wear it like a finger, as you can see in the picture. That is something that you are wearing in your fingers. Okay, now we will be able to type the keyboard without actually having a keyboard. Of course you should know the placements of words in it, but nowadays who is the one who don't know typing? Because we use chat, we use computers, almost everywhere we have this keyboard thing. We type all around, so it's really easy. You don't have to carry a keyboard, a system at all. You can just virtually move your fingers around, and that's all. The work is done right over there. So this is a advanced technology that is coming around, and you know it's, it made the really easy method to communicate with the system again. You just can wear it and move around. Just look how handy and comfortable this whole gesture control had made so far. Now let me come to the terms, and this device is a wearable for for your fingers. Once you slide it in, it registers your movement as you type, and it automatically on an invisible keyboard. As I already said, of course, you will need to know the keyboard settings, how where the key would be. So no one is really new to this topic. So because firstly, when we were teaching codings, for a really new person, it was really struggling. But nowadays, it's being taught in school. It's everywhere. Firstly, it used to be believed that only technical technicians who are working technically would need the coding language. But now it's like everywhere the computer exists, the coding language is needed. Apart from engineering, it needed in commerce, business, technology, digital marketing, everything revolve around it. So I think this would be that kind of revolutionary when one point of time we will not need a keyboard at all. That would be kind of adaptability that we may develop. So this is one of the example of gesture control. There is a enormous number of application over it. Now, amazing, like as they're already mentioned over here. And here one more example of gesture control. This is a very simple. You have eventually seen a touch, you know, light. Even I have this. Like we will touch that screen and that light will on. We can, by touch itself, we can change the brightness. So this is a very simple example where you could able to relate around, and how easy they have made these technologies, how easy accessible these are. Now I have mentioned over different technologies where gesture is used. As I already mentioned, different companies as different places where companies are made. Here are different places where gesture is used. Gesture we just underestimate it. It has a wide application over it. We have and customized premium PCVR system. Who doesn't know the VR system? Everyone is crazy about it, and we use gesture over there. High-D glasses, hand-free gesture control. There is one of my colleague who is working on smart glasses. So I think they would be using this technology later. And smartphone, we obviously know we have a gesture control in smartphone, in video games. You can even take screenshot of this and just look forward for it. It's not that expensive to bring these kind of technology, but it reduces lot of effort, energy, and the application is so vast. So just have a look around this. It's really interesting when you type these things in internet, and you will find enormous number of examples revolving around this. Now, coming to the real technical terms, the advantages of robotics. As I already mentioned, I it increases its fewer effort, high quality, less downtime, high productivity, less space utilization. That's more important because we are in such a crowded country, where you know everyone needs to need a specific space, amount of energy we require. The specification that robot brings is dynamic. And this is an image, and this is the actual definition that you will find over internet. So I have placed both in front of you to actually able to relate when you see these things the next time. So I hope you will never forget this after this. Now getting into the real technical terms. I think there's enough of stories and get into the terms, okay? So now here you see a basic concept of an individual robot. Here you see an controller, and manipulator, end effector, power supply. I think just imagine the things that you have seen so far, the robots, and able to categorize those parts into these. Like in the movie Endiran, there would be something called chip that has been inserted inside it. So it would so dynamically that chip has been so important that it has changed its whole features, the purpose of the robot itself. So the amount of control that chip has over that robot, that changes everything that the robot does, and the end effector, the effect that made at the end. Just remember that the final output is given through that. So controller, which controls, which have the all the command to the robot about what to do, when to do, how to do, how much to do. All these instructions has been given to the particular robot through that. And eventually we have seen that in movie also that at one point of time it loses energy and it had to run to gain some power. So everything needs some power, and we make it independent when we will we make it run over battery, because battery is so adaptable, it's easy to carry, it's small in size, the amount of energy it gives, it's the specification, the varieties over the power supply itself is varied according to the need. The manipulator would be the one who is being adopting the instruction from the controller. No, that for example, we have been giving a command from our mother or father about what to do. Now you will process that command and then you will execute it through the end effector. See, that's how here from end effector and to the end effector. See the two arrows that are being revolving around. Above the diagram there will be two end effector, and then below the diagram there will from end effector. So there is a communication through end effector also. It's not that end effector will keep on taking the command itself. The command that the work that end effector you do is being observed. As you go to school, as you go to college, the work you are doing is being observed, right? The work you are doing is being corrected, it's been instructed, like being observed. It's not like you are given an instruction and you're left free. The feedback is really important. The feedback helps you to correct it and it's to work more progressively. So I think this diagram, it's really simple to understand. And the next time you will think about robot, the image that I've shown you, the really first image, the cartoon image, I don't think so no more that would be the image that would be coming into your mind. This is the thing, this is the basic concept about the robots in industries. Apart from that, there is a large range, but the very basic things that you could think about a robot would be this way. And see, we talked about the humanoid, and now see these arms. It's just the arm part of the humanoid. It has, and now this arm itself has so much varieties. It could move forward, it could move backward. You would have seen that in food factories, in the discovery channels, that how these arms move around. It fix the car parts. How the car is moving around the roller, as there is here in this orange image. Just imagine the car and you are inside the car and you are moving along with the car, and each and every part is fixed by these arms. They have been given the command to do that particular task repetitively. When the next car comes, it will repeat the same work. That's why it's in definition it has been given that performing a repetitive task. And now I think you will be able to remember the definition also. Here you see the white and blue. Here the end part, the gray color part which is working on the flat disk, that is called end effector. See, now there are cables connected, there are joints, there are edges, there are various parts that has been connected with screws and all, and from somewhere it is getting the instruction, or it is being taught about what to do at that position. So it will move accordingly, it will create, and it will do it without any error. A very perfect student would be the robot. See, very seamlessly it will do every effort, but to create the robot itself, there would be some kind of hard work, and the hard work that we put around creating this robot, it's really effective and purposeful. And that's why uh, in every industries that need to be successful would be working around this. Now, as I already said, you came across the terms called end effector, controller, manipulator, and what else? The feedback and the edges and the joints. Apart from that, these various categories you will deeply study when you come across these topics, like basic element of robots. There are different types of robots. I would be able to only tell you this much, but there are really topics beyond these. It's a very vast subjects. So I'll just tell the headings, and you will just if you want you can make note of it and look forward to it afterwards. So there are basic elements of robots. We had talked about the basic concepts. There are elements also that you will be able to understand easily after you have gone through the PDF so far. So there are type of robots. There are industrial. There are non-industrial. They have been many dimensions that robots have made. There are type of industrial robots. In industry robot itself, there are different types. History of robots. You will see how the purpose of making robot is being actually achieved. When you learn about the history of everything, you will not attempt the drawbacks, and you will know how crucially it has been specifically made. So that's why the history of robots is really important. And then comes the generation of robots. There are, like, as we have generation of computers, there are generation of robots also. And robot autonomy, you can understand what could be the things in that heading itself. Now, robotic motion or movements, as I already said about the joints, the edges, there are different types of motions like cylindrical motion, Cartesian movement. There are varieties, the possibilities. You can see robots as in movie. For example, when the testing process was going in this entire movie, he was not able to move as fluently as a human does. He was just kicking as a small baby would do. So there is a particular kind of training being given to that motion of the robot. So this study would help you to understand that part of functioning. Degree of freedom, like freedom, from degree you would understand like 360-degree, the angle of rotation, the torque, the movement, in which angle, with what speed, in what in what and all the possibilities of that robots to be flexible enough. Robot have the metallic body, and how far the metal could adapt, and how many joints is needed to reach the particular kind of bending or things. So let's just move forward. There are even more things about robotics. There are actuators, there are sensors, there are robotic joint, body and arm configuration. See, as I already said, cylindrical and Cartesian, these are the configuration, and so on. So the subject is really vast. So from the beginning, I was telling that the robot was humanoid, and then said I robot was also used in industries, and then I said robots, it is just the upper version of machines. And now you can see there are even more vast subjects about robotics. So like from this we can make sure it is not specific to certain topics, it's just keep on going, and as we keep on developing, it will just keep on extending our syllabus itself. So let's move on and get into the combination of gesture control robot. Now I'm just stopping the stories revolving around our world and coming into a specific domain about how to make a gesture control robot. And now here I'm just bringing up the components to you first to give you understanding about what and all is being used and how it is being used, how the purpose would be accomplished. So here we are making a two part. One is a remote unit, one is transmitting unit. The remote unit would be having the components which will receive the command from us, okay, the human. We give the command, and that command would be processed in this remote unit. As we have remote for a TV, we have remote in our hands, right? We control the programs that we have to see. So that's why I have given the name remote, because it's in our control. And there comes the transmit unit, the part which will on which we are working, the part in which we want the output. So just have a look. We have here MPU6050. I will tell you what it is in detail. And then we have Arduino, we have battery, we have Bluetooth. So this is the basic block diagram. As I already shown the basic components of robotics, in everything when we study about technology, we need to have first the proper glance. So that's why we bring out the block diagrams. So here we see, MPU 6050, Arduino, Bluetooth, batteries, and then here transmit we have motors, motor drivers, drivers, Arduino, and here H5 is also, it's the same Bluetooth. So observe a thing over here. Here in the receiver part, there's a Bluetooth, and here in the transfer part, there's again a Bluetooth. There is no connection between these two things. Now here we understand that this communication between the two different parts is wireless. We are communicating with a device called Bluetooth. I will tell you in detail after having a glance about the components. Here, we have components like Arduino Uno, Arduino Nano. I will tell you the difference between both these. And then, as I said, here we have a MPU 6050. Wait, I will just explain about what is this. And we have motor driver, we have battery, we have Bluetooth, okay, and we have a complete idea about this is how we have going to place, and the purpose would be using our gesture we are going to control something. That's the simple idea. Like we are putting our gesture into a part, and we are transferring that data via Bluetooth to the second part and making it function. Now moving over, here we have the block diagram. So as I shown the rough diagram, here we have a circuit diagram which will like show the actual connections in it. So before I start explain this connection, let me tell you what these parts are about. You could see here Arduino being complicatedly connected. You won't understand whether understand unless you understand the purpose behind bringing this component over here. So let's begin with gyroscope. This gyroscope is a very interesting thing, and it's a very favorite part because when I was studying about this, I took it out of my very own interest. So this is very interesting part for me. So this is how a gyroscope look. And the most interesting part is it is very lightweight, it is very small. So you just for idea, let me give you it's about a size of half of your index finger. It is that small, but the work that it does and the functionality is very interesting. So here you could see it is a blue color chip kind of thing, and there are almost 8 holes. So we are being called that as ports. Okay, the purpose of these 8 things would be different. First, VCC means we are giving some particular kind of power supply to that, as everything that we need should have some power, right? For if we are talking, if you're walking, if you're even sitting and watching, you can't do without any source of a snack or some food to gain energy. So energy is really important. So that purpose is being fulfilled with the very first thing, because that's the most important thing. Everyone needs energy. And then comes the grounding, and then comes the different parts. I think you will not be able to understand unless you have a deep study about it. So let's leave that here itself. Don't complicate it. Let's not complicate it. Just have a look over it. How beautiful and small compact this device is. Now I will tell you what this device actually does. Now, the name is MPU 6050. It's a low cost, accurate IMU. No, it's like you can't if you have heard about the words microprocessor, microcontroller, it's not that complicated. It has just a simple purpose and it's low cost. It's around like just 97 rupees or 78 rupees, because when we talk about Arduino Uno, Arduino Nano, it's around 200 and sometimes even 500. When we go about Raspberry Pi, it's even costlier. But this device has a function, but it's very low cost. That's the most attractive thing. It's just around 78 or 80 to 90 rupees. Okay, so what is IMU? IMU is the inertia measurement unit. Now here measurement unit comes over here because the purpose is to measure something. So what it is going to measure? For example, gyroscope, it consists of gyroscope and accelerometer. You would have heard the word gyroscope when if you have played PUBG and all. The word gyroscope you have heard when you are playing video games. The thing is, when you move your phone, it will react accordingly. If you move towards right, the the game inside it will also move towards right. If you move towards left, how would you have that understanding between you your mobile and the game inside it. So the understanding is being developed through gyroscope. So to be easily relatable, that's all gyroscope is all about. An accelerometer, you would have earlier the measurement of movement. Acceleration, right? It's related to the movement. For example, if there is three axes: x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Any object which is oriented in a space between these axes. Now, what this accelerometer will do is it will assess the position. Like when you take a graph sheet, it will mark the 1, 2, 3 in x-axis, then 4, 5, 6 in like y-axis, minus x-axis, minus y-axis. Then you make a point, then you put an under bracket, and you make note of the position. So that note in the free space is done by this accelerometer. Is as simple as that. So the note of position is being done by this accelerometer. So the plus point is MPU 6050 is a measurement unit. Now you will would have idea why it is a measurement unit, because it could measure the position, it will measure the angle, with what angle it is moving. So that's why it is an inertia measurement unit. Okay. And it has both accelerometer and gyroscope. Now, it is used in UAVs and quadcopters. Quadcopters, as I already mentioned, is like drone and things related to that. Like if you already imagine what a drone is, and if you have already seen a drone in an marriage function or anywhere, like if you have seen nas daily videos, the videos has been taken mostly in drones, because like it's been going high, and then normal camera cannot capture such a high altitude viewpoint. Like in olden movies, like they've been showing that they're shooting movies from helicopters and stuff like that. That was a really complicated process. In that time, they didn't have quadcopters, and now they have developed these technologies of having drone and all. So now, used in robotic applications, used in phone game and hardware, as I already said you examples about PUBG and all. In that, you would have able to relate this gyroscope. So MPU 60 is just one part of it. There are really n number of components present in this world, like enormous number of components. They have to take components according to our need, according to our applications. So first, as I already said about robotics, we should need to find the purpose about what and why we are making, and then we have to choose the components. So I have chosen this component, and like I have got interest over it, and I'm explaining this to you. So like this is not the only thing that like measure the angle, measure the altitude, the position of the object. Gyroscope MPU 6050. This is the not the only component that does that. There are n number of components, but to explain, I have take this particular topic, and I'm explaining you what are the possibilities and what are the definitions and specification of this particular component. Apart from that, the subject is dynamic, so you can search that over internet. Now I have said you that it's a measurement unit. It's used in phone, and let's move on. Gyroscope is an MEMS device. Okay. Now, what is MEMS? Is micro mechanical system. As I explained so far, you would see it's micro and it's mechanical because the physical properties that you are able to observe in this particular device is very specific. Now, MEMS sensors produces a voltage when an axis is rotated. So what actually happens is, when this chip is placed somewhere, at each shift of angle or at a particular moment, a small amount of voltage is generated. Now, like if you're wondering how it record the angle or record the angle or record the particular position, this is the thing. When it move from particular angle, it will generate a kind of voltage, and that voltage is sent to a 16-bit ADC. I think from that hereafter you will be able to connect that how analog to digital converter, then it is being converted to digital signals, and then you will able to see that visually. MPU 6050 also have a temperature sensor, and that's a plus point because it has gyroscope, it has accelerometer, and it also have temperature sensor. And it is low in cost. That's why I love this component. And it's digital motion processor. As I already said, we have observing motion. I think I have explained you enough about the digital motion that it adopt. It correlate the data from the accelerometer and the gyroscope, and it can also be externally third party sensors. It can be used external by a third party sensors. Now hereafter it depend upon the application about how you use it and why we use it. So here now you will able to understand the function of these ports. I have given you the clear cut look explanation of each and every short form that you have written over here. And here we have the x-axis and y-axis, as you can see. See, here we have orientation. This is what I was talking about. If we shift things from an angle, it will make note of it. You have an port where you could be able to connect it to uh, a intermediate between system and this device, the Arduino. So you will able to connect to Arduino this device, and that Arduino will be connected to system, and then you will be easily able to visualize the angle, the accelerometer that has been generated. Okay, so let's moving forward. The first thing that I had observed the gyroscope as, you would have seen this right part about, you had listened about this right part, but when I was small, the gyroscope that I have seen would be the left part. So what this does is, it just come back to the same position even it is disturbed from its origin. The property is, it has the balance to come back to the same position. The word gyroscope, when I first came across, is when I was looking around the project for my fourth year. Then there was a senior who was working on a bike, where when a bike rotates from a particular angle, it will come back to the same position after a particular time with the help of gyroscope. So that was the definition of gyroscope that time, and now see how vast it has been changed to this chip. This image was the first thing, and then it dynamically converted into a small chip. Now coming to the Arduino, I will not explain this in detail because it will keep on going. The subject is really vast, so I will just tell what is this all about. It's an easy hardware system. Mm, Now you will have doubt whether it is a microprocessor or microcontroller. Let me tell you that it's neither a microprocessor nor a microcontroller. It is a hardware platform or a developer board which has a microcontroller based on it, and it is like Atomega 3268P. So this is based on that. It's just an hardware device where you're able to develop various number of projects. Basically, what it happens, it has a power supply over here. It has a dump port where here you will dump the code that you want, will put the commands that has been function. So as we have looked about the gyroscope would be connected to this Arduino, and then that Arduino will be connected to the laptop, and you will be able to visualize things. So now difference between, as I already said, I will tell about you the difference. So the difference would be is just the size and the application, nothing big. See how big this board is and how small this nano is. That's why the Uno Nano, the size is different, the application is different, but the purpose serves the same. It is both made as an hardware device that you can work for it. It's really easy. You just need to have the adaptable cable for it. You connect to the PC, you dump the code, and there we go. Here we have motor drivers. Like as we have seen this thing in the computers, very simple explanation for this would be, it control the motor that we are working on. So this motor driver just have, we have to dump the command, we have connected to the Arduino, and it will just it's just like a WhatsApp. You receive a signal and then you just send that message to someone. You just receive and send. That's all the purpose of this thing would be. It will make the motor to understand the command that has been given to you. And then we have Bluetooth. We all know, we came across the Bluetooth. The Bluetooth we know in a mobile phone, like this, that look like this symbol. But now this thing is different. There are two types, and the difference would be only the cost. See, the reason I have mentioned 223 and 99, it's not some complicated number, it's just the cost of these things. And the purpose would serve different according to the cost. So the costlier one I'm using over here. So like this is the only expensive thing because we have both master and slave in this. So the Bluetooth thing, the purpose is to connect wireless. That's all. Like you would pass the information, talk to each other, convey the information with each other without any physical contact. It will just have some radius of application. You can also use the Wi-Fi module. There are different things, but here I'm just explaining the components that I have worked on. Now we have DC motor. You would all, there would be no one who had not you know opened a toy car and looked after it. So this is the DC motor that we already just it, what it does is just run when in particular voltage is given, and the direction it could also change. Many have the myth that DC motor cannot move in reverse direction. Actually it can move in both direction. Every motor, like only it was believed that only stepper motor would move in both direction, but even DC motor can move because it had changed in the purpose. Like there has been development evolution, so nowadays DC motor could also move front and back. So now we come to the final part. Here we have the uh, stimulation part. I have visually connected all these components via a software called Tinkercad. Let me show you how Tinkercad looks like. So this is how Tinkercad looks like. Okay, in this platform, and also you can use Proteus, and Proteus is more specific and adaptive. So you can use these two softwares. There are n number of softwares. So these two software are easy to adapt. So you can do the same project in Tinkercad and Proteus. So let me explain what it actually does. As I said, this gyroscope will take the signal, take the angle, record it, and correlate it via this connection to this Arduino. And this Arduino would be connected like this with particular kind of resistance to the Bluetooth. Now, via PC, we will dump a code inside this Arduino, which will specify how this instruction has to be correlated and being sent via this Bluetooth. So we need to connect this first Bluetooth. One has to be master, the other has to be slave. So this Bluetooth would be master and this would be slave. And when this has a purpose to be purpose, that if this part, the second Bluetooth, have a reason, have to send the signal back, then it could also work vice versa. So the same Bluetooth can act as a master and a slave. So there is no doubt that which Bluetooth has to be used as master and which Bluetooth has to be used slave. So that's why I use a costlier version which would work both as master and slave. I think the word master slave is easy to understand. I no other explanation would be required for that. Okay, let me come back to this again. So what a gyroscope does is take the signal that's required, it sends dumps to the Arduino, and then via Bluetooth it transfer the signal to this. So what happens is this part would be in our hand. We will rotate our hand, and that will record how our hand is moving, and that instruction would be sent to this. Now this whole part can be connected under a toy car, can be connected under a wheelchair where this motor could run. So for example, if we rotate with a 45 degree and we have given an instruction in the audio that when we rotate it 45 degree to the right, the motor should also move 45 degree to the right. So we will put the instruction over this Uno, that is Arduino Uno, that will adapt the information that is given, and through as I said motor driver, it just sends the signal to the motor about how to function. Now here our output would be observed via these motors, the yellow things that you see around there. That would be the output part, that you will be able to observe how a motor runs. Okay, so I think that would be the interesting part, and here we end our simulation. I hope you understand how these things are working. As I said, there is two parts. Here a signal is taken and here a signal is given, and then we get the output. So it's as simple as that. This is a small part of simple thing that you can do by yourself. It's really easy, and you can just say that I have been doing something interesting involved to robotics. So this is how the Tinkercad looks. Yeah. Now I would lastly say, as we are related to engineering and stuffs, I would like to give an idea. I will not tell what and all to learn, but I could say how and alls to learn. So just jumping into the third part, because that's the really interesting thing going around. That is Pomodoro method. When I was a child, I didn't heard about this method, but this is a really effective method to learn. So what this method tells is, you will learn concentratedly to a particular subject for a moment of time. For example, for a initial stage, you take 5 minutes. So you study a subject for 5 minutes, and then you take a break of 5 minutes, and you then repeat it for 5 minutes, and then take a break of, like, 5 minutes is really less. I mean, at least for half an hour and 5 minutes break, half an hour and 5 minutes break. So this method will not make you bored. Like, we have to think like how many hours we sit and study. You will not be have an calculative idea how many effective hours you spend it on your study. Most of the medical students do that, because they have to remember a lot of things. So even engineering students can adapt to able to relate to able to memorize things. It's a really effective way of study. Instead of just taking the books and reading thousand hundred times, just follow this method. You can just increase that you know effective time of study from half an hour to 1 hour to 2 hours. That process will really help. Then focus attention. Coursing method is also one of the interesting things. In this method, you will know what and all the subjects you are weak, what are subjects you have to work on, what are the things where, for some people, visualization is the way to remember things. For some people, reading helps. For some people, listening helps. So you really have to customize your study as your comfort. Like, for me personally, when I listen to things, then that subject stays in my mind for really long time rather than reading things. So just think what suits you better, because when you start customizing your subjects, that's when it stays in your mind for really long time. So as a senior, I would advise you to just think about the Pomodoro methods and Carson methods. Apart from all these things, is you would have heard in your schools and colleges. And I already know that if you are being watching this video so far, you will be following those already. And these are, at last, these would be the trending technologies that you could look forward. College and school, it could be helping you to set a particular syllabus, a time, a schedule. But apart from that, there is a vast knowledge over internet. You can learn many things for free. There are different apps that will give you free knowledge. For example, there are Coursera, there is Udemy. Just you have to take some code, paste it over somewhere. We have links over that enormous number of links. You have to go that before a particular time. You have to copy the code and paste it. Only that's the thing to get the free courses. You don't have to pay it. So there are really interesting platform for the students to learn for free. And these are the topics you can learn that will keep you really high on your career base. So quickly I will explain what these topics are all about. Firstly would be, I will talk about the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Like, for example, Internet of Things. If you have heard about the Internet of Things, you will understand the artificial intelligence. And machine learning is like, for example, for a robot, we are telling them the robots to how to move for a particular car fixing. So the machine learns, and it will That's it. That's the word in itself. You explain you. Now, in machine learning itself, there are many software that you can learn. You can softwarely organize things, and then we have robotic process automations. We have things in edge computing is like we have clouds where we store our memory. We have Google Drives. We have Apple Drives where we store our informations. We have store our documents. We use that as a memory, and that memory after a particular time we have to pay for it. So instead of that, if we bring that cloud near to the company itself, if you create your really own cloud and you just save all your in your personalized cloud, then you don't have to pay for it. And if you bring likewise, if you bring all the technologies to you, near to you, like if you have a water bottle, you store that water for you to be easily accessible. You will be able to take that water bottle anytime and able to drink it. But when it is not a water bottle, you have to just move around, go to the other room, fetch some water. It's a long process, it takes times. So edge computing is that you bring things closer to you to reduce the time, power consumed, money, and everything. So that's edge computing is all about. So you can really spend time learning over it. I think certification over edge computing in this era would be very useful. Then quantum computing, virtual reality and virtual reality and augmented reality, you will be I sure you have been seen this in Instagrams, how in movies, how movie making is all augmented reality. Every fantasizing thing apart from robotics, the next fantasizing thing would be the augmented reality, and everyone is looking forward to it. It's a very vast subject. It's required coding languages, everything, but it's worth it learning. Blockchain, I would be relating it to the cryptocurrency. In cryptocurrency, we have blockchains. We have it's basically memory stored in a particular block, and then the memory is continued to the another block as a chain itself, like a block of information, and it is being arranged in a particular chain. So that would be blockchain. Internet of things, I think you all know 5G is the upcoming. It's Geo is really looking forward for it. And cybersecurity, it's not like hacking. It's not about hacking someone's Facebook, someone's Instagram using a fake account. It's not limited to that. It's not at all related to that. If you have a myth like that, it's completely false. It's beyond that. There is a particular kind of degree and study about cyber security. Many of you would have thought of going to a short term course doing in hacking. You think that is cyber security, but there is a really vast subject. It's really difficult. I tried learning cyber security, but it was too hard for me to learn. It's not easy. So yeah, I think we are in the end of presentation. I'm done expressing my you know viewpoint over the robotics, over the projects, and how easily we can buy and how easy it was to just do it. The study was really big, but the application that we did when we have the knowledge, proper knowledge, how to do it was really easy. Like you just have to take the components, connect it, dump the code, and there the code. It was that easy. So at the end, I would say never hesitate asking any questions to everyone, because we all are in pandemic and we are the 2 years are being at a pause. Our mental growth, I would say that is being under a pause. So it's you that you have to grow yourself with a very own interest. Nobody is going to come at your home and tell you do this, do that. You are just to everything is available in front of you. You just have to stay curious to fit into the race. So yeah, instead of saying stay home, stay safe, and stay curious. Okay, bye.
On behalf of our college management, I would like to thank each and everyone for attending the session, and also I would like to thank Ms. Charitra V for sharing her time and knowledge with us.